Hey everyone, Mistik here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new weapon update that came out in Graal about 2 days before the recording of this video on November 16th. This update is absolutely huge. It is probably the biggest change to the game since Plasma and is arguably even larger. The update is currently in a 1-week trial test and will be worked on in the future. In the video I'm going to be discussing the details of the update, and afterwards I'll go over some pros and cons that are important to discuss. I will also leave a link to the entire patch notes down below in the description if you want to take a look at those. I've been pretty actively talking to pro players and people on the Arago forums over the past 2 days to get their views on it. I think the patch has settled in and everyone has formed their opinions, and we've seen any issues that the update has brought, so I think it's time to talk about it. Before we start, I'd also like to give a special thanks to all the players that helped me with this video and the testing for it. Their profiles are on the screen right now. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, please remember, I am not the biggest expert on guns in this game, so if I explain anything incorrectly, feel free to comment down below, as I will be liking or pinning anything that points out the mistakes I made. Starting with the actual contents of the update, Graal's going to be getting an almost universal buff to all guns. There are exceptions to this rule, however I'll be going over that in a little bit. The idea for this update is that every gun will be killing in one less bullet. On the screen you will see a complete list of the damage changes. All of these values are based off the perfect versions of guns. This means that although the Browning automatic rifle, also known as the bar, used to state it was only 9 damage, when perfect, like every gun, it did 1 more damage than normal, totaling 10. The bar being 10 damage meant it used to kill someone in 5 bullets, however with this update its now perfect damage is 12.5, meaning it kills in only 4 bullets. The second change that this update brings is a change to the health system. This is a small change which is pretty much just visual. Previously your health rounded down any 0.5 values to the lower amount, so if you had 22.5 health it would show as 22. This is why in some cases you would be able to have 0 HP as you actually had 0.5. Now these half values are actually shown in the HP bar. As for what weapons will not be receiving this buff, it's pretty simple and each fits into about 5 categories. First, any gun that previously had stack damage, such as the PvP and most shotguns, will not be buffed. Any gun that previously did more than 12 damage, which I personally didn't even know existed and still am yet to see, will also not be buffed. Any weapons that include explosive damage, such as the RPG and artillery cannon, won't be affected as well. There will also be no damage buffs to high rate of fire weapons such as the minigun, flame, chem, or ion minigun. Lastly, although this isn't particularly stated, there seems to be almost no changes to previous holiday/VIP weapons or event weapons. Whether this was intentional or just an oversight, especially in the cases of 5-year-old event weapons, is unknown to me at this moment. Also, a quick addition is that Bitzsam confirmed there is no change to melee weapons in this update, nor any plans to change them in the future. This whole update will result in a lower time to kill throughout the entire game. This change affects every section of the game presumably. I am yet to have tested in events, but so far it has worked in the overworld, spar, bases, and plasma corp. As a result, you will have faster spars, faster 1v1s in the overworld, and most likely more PKs and deaths on the street. This update will probably make it more hard to just generally move around the map and do jobs. The goal of this update, as per Bitzsam, was to promote a more skill-based gun system that values skills such as aim and bullet dodging. Now, getting into some of the pros and cons of the update. Starting with the pros, well, there really is only one in my opinion. I think the update actually worked for what Bitzsam was attempting to do. The increased damage results in some much more speedy fights to occur in PK, while also resulting in faster spars. I've actually had more fun with the faster fights of late. However, I'm not convinced that this has put any more emphasis on skill, though, as spamming and actually playing tactical still have the same advantages and disadvantages. The update will also result in players gaining kills and spar stats much faster than before as fights take less time. Overall though, I think Bitzsam will be happy with this aspect of the update. Now onto cons, there is a considerably larger amount. In this video I'm only going to be touching on a few, however I have already heard hundreds of complaints from players. The number one complaint so far has been the change in the hierarchy of what guns are good. Any gun that did not receive a buff has been honestly completely left in the dust. This change is so drastic that not having a buff on top tier weapons such as flame, minigun, PvP, chem, and ion minigun has rendered them useless in comparison to some of the other top weapons. Weapons such as chemical gun, flame, and the water and electric staffs cost players high amounts of event coins and have now been placed in the inventory for the time being because of the update. Players have potentially spent hundreds of hours earning these weapons and now they have no use for them, and I feel like that is really unfair. On another note, the PvP shotgun was one of the most popular PK weapons and costs over 120,000 graalets. This is a lot of money, especially for players who just purchased it as their main weapon. Bitzsam had said that he intends to buff these weapons in different ways, such as fire rate, reload speed, and bullet size after the 1 week trial is finished, which is a good step. However, if drastic changes are not made to some of the non-buffed weapons, this update is going to have a lot of players up in arms, as it already does. The second con I have heard is also related to the hierarchy of weapons, however more so to weapons that are now considered quite overpowered. Weapons that have no hit timer have found themselves at the top of the pack when it comes to damage per second. These include the M4A3, the SPAR plus PK reward gun, as well as the MP5. These guns now kill in 5 hits, however have a faster time to kill than the BAR. This is because every bullet that strikes the enemy is counted as damage, unlike the BAR where sometimes if 2 bullets hit in a row, one will not take effect. These guns have completely taken over the SPAR scene, and a lot of players have been complaining about them as of late. The third con is how players who are not PKing or are new to the game will be affected. These weapon buffs essentially allow for a higher time to kill. Before the update, if you were new to the game and stepped into a PK zone, you would die extremely fast. Now, this update brings in almost 20% faster time to kill, resulting in new players getting more and more frustrated while just trying to mind their own business. This also affects players who are just trying to do jobs or go around the map. I think this particularly hurts players who are picking trash and mushrooms, as well as players doing car missions. PKers already use trash, mushroom, and even special event spawns to rack up kills, and once again a 20% faster time to kill will be applied. This makes it much harder to pick resources and again increases frustration in a game that is already so hard to make money in. This will also be a huge nerf to the speed of car missions. PKers often prey on car mission players as they must stop when getting the mission, picking up the NPC, and delivering them. Players will be killed more often in these situations, and to make matters worse, if you die, you fail it. I have a feeling this will make car missions incredibly hard, as all those times you escape with 1 hit left will just result in lost graalets. Lastly, I saw a few players complaining about basing. It has been said that overall the team defending has gained an advantage off this update, because they are able to spam and generally have large numbers. Lower time to kill results in less time for the attackers to gain any positioning to kill people off power positions. They almost just instantly die upon entering choke points in the bases. I think this is more of a get used to issue. I think that once attackers learn how to utilize the buff in their own way, it'll become more balanced. Hopefully this change is not implemented in Capture the Flag though, as it will become even harder to capture flags. Overall, my opinion on this gun update is that it needs some extensive work done to it before it's going to be ready to be a permanent addition. I agree with the idea of it to create more fun and fast gameplay, however it has too many negative issues that come along with it. I think the proper balancing of other stats such as hit timers and fire rate will make this update a lot more fun, however right now it's just not really quite working. I really don't think that just changing damage universally is the sole solution to changing up the game. With these current details of the update, the game has probably been in the worst state it's ever been. I have seen so many players complaining and even threatening to stop playing. However, I am really excited to see what Bitzsam does to this update after the 1 week trial period. I'm really hoping that he can make all the guns have this kind of universal buff and that he makes the gameplay more fun and fair than it currently is and was before the update in general. Anyways, that's going to be it for the video. If you've made it this far, thank you, and if you've learned anything from this video, please drop a like as it helps me out a bunch. Also, comment down below what your feelings on this update are. I'd love to hear what the entire community is feeling regarding the change. And finally, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so as I keep everyone up to date on all Graal news and updates. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.